Welcome, everybody. My name's Aida. Welcome to the Cosmic Brew podcast. And today I have these most beautiful, intelligent, amazing women who I love, all of you guys. And I'm so excited to be here with you. This is going to be amazing. So we're doing today the topic is on the number 13 and its esoteric meanings and the different folklore about the number 13 and all the different religious traditions, metaphysical, even the Knights Templar. I mean, I gathered a lot of information to share with you ladies, and we can discuss that. Or if you guys have brought anything, of course, please do share it. But thank you, YssaH, Susan, and Erika for joining me today. I have a little bit of a cold, so bear with me. I'm going to do my best to push through it and just enjoy this time. So right now I'm burning some Palo Santo just to clear the energy, invite nothing but pure love, pure truth, and pure light into this space. Anything less than love, truth, and true light is not welcome. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you for being here and bringing your energy, your beautiful energy, ladies. I appreciate you.
No, likewise. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. I couldn't have picked better women. I mean, there's so many that I love, but I'm so excited, especially Erika. I'm so happy to have her.
Thank you.
I am.
Thank
Yes.
you.
So I'm just going to ring this for a minute. This is the feminine, the bell. And we appreciate both our masculine and feminine, but this is rather than, make a big. Lovely. Welcome. Okay, so where do we begin? This is just a roundtable discussion. I am hosting it, but I am not the, we're all going to engage and share our knowledge and our wisdom. And I don't know who wants to start. I've got some notes that I've taken, and I'll be glad to refer to them as we get further into the discussion. You said, do you want to share anything? You want to start with you and we just go around to Susan?
Can I just go ahead and just ask a question first? Because I know YssaH already has maybe in my mind, I'm thinking YssaH has the answer. So,
okay.
When it comes to the number 13, when it comes to a lot of things like black cats, the number 13, 666, we even certain sacred geometry, I see a lot of people saying this is a bad number, or it has this negative meaning, or it's Illuminati related, and it's almost as if they give away all power and solidify the meaning or value of these things based on a dark entity using it, when to me there's always a time before that. There's eternity, there's a meaning and a purpose for certain things. So in your studies, where do you see that? Since we said the number 13, where is it getting all the negative value? Where does the negative value and connotation come from?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Thank you, Erika. I used to say, wherever they tell you, don't go there, that's forbidden, that's bad, that's evil, go there, because there you will find a lot of answers. So for me, that's the main reason why the number 13 has been so condemned, and even we see it, like in the buildings, they don't have the number 13, and because, like, in general terms, because we can go like ancient civilization cosmology one by one, and saying how each one of them addresses to the number 13. And in the end, or in the beginning, it means unity, the communion of the 12. Because imagine that we are a particle of light. Well, we are actually full of light. We are particles of light, you know, compressed in a physical form, densified in a physical form. So for every particle of light that there is to our existence, it creates the pattern of an X, like simple, like basics, an X. Now, if we count the edges of the X, there are 12 in relation to the 12 zodiac signs, in relation to the 12 apostles, in relation to the 12 colonies, and so forth, you know? So what's the 13? The 13 is the center, is the unity. So like overall, one of the most important correlations that I find in number 13, it's that it shows to us the unity. Without the 13, we are just 12 edges going outwards without interconnecting them all. Like imagine 12 archetypes, but they don't come together, and they come together through that center, which is the 13, and that's when it spins. That's why also they keep, you know, like Yeshua or Jesus crucified, because they don't consider him the number 13. They only talk about the 12 apostles, you know, and Jesus.
Right.
So, but they put them as, you know, the apostles and Jesus. So the moment that they bring them together, then that cross starts to rotate and even leads to the Mary Magdalene consciousness, because Mary Magdalene is the 14, which would be that electron, that potential energy that is surrounding that cross, that those 12 edges, that unity center as the 13, and helping it to hold the space and to spin. So we can see how encoded it is with numbers, like all the stories that we hear, how it all comes to fundaments in physics, that we can connect it in a spiritual way because they are talking about the same. So the 13, you know, also if we connect it to the 13 zodiac signs, which is Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus is the serpent bearer. Mm-hmm. And if there is no Kundalini, you know, if we don't master the serpentine energy, which is the fundamental pattern of any wave of energy, then we are not generating that motion. Then it's like we are crucified. We are death, you know, and that's the perception that attaches more to the ego, which is the sense of death. Because the ego is always trying to survive through our patterns of behavior, survive through this animal instinct, and all these harvesting control systems are enhanced through the adrenaline, which is the fear, to death, which is static. And that's just an illusion. You know, but how they encrypt it in the hologram is so subtle that we are not even aware that if we don't integrate the 13 in our consciousness, then we are not the level and rate in which our hologram is pulsing, our holographic body is not as coherent as it should be. You know, because we're missing that part. And we can say, oh, come on, how can 13 really influence my reality? Come on, it's like 12 zodiac sign. Look, I'm alive. I'm functional. I'm happy. I'm replenished. You know, why the 13 doesn't influence my life at all? But it does. I'm sorry, yes?
So are you saying Ophiuchus is the 13th sign? Is that what you're saying? Like,
it's the 13th zodiac sign.
Right. Repeat that, please, Erika. You broke up. That way.
So I asked, was Ophiuchus in fact the 13th sign? Because they've decided to leave it out of the zodiac. And right. So also with the number 13. Yeah. And so
and we also had 13 months.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Right. You know, my mom pointed this
13,
out. My mom pointed it out.
Like Erika, they put caps on our DNA so we don't live 300 years now. What if this is a cap spiritually on taking away our 13 months and 13 zodiac signs to close us down so we're not as open and powerful as we should be? That's what it seems like.
Which, in fact, is one way to explain it is removing the 13 months, but they are there, they exist, but the illusion of it not existing. So it would be we're walking around basically living in a lie. So now we're no longer connected to truth. So now we're disassociated from truth and living out of balance because we're living out of balance with the truth. And this is the deception, because even my mom said, well, if the gestation period is 4 weeks, 4 times, how many weeks is it for you're not pregnant 9 months, you're actually pregnant 10 months.
It's like 30,
not 9.
39 weeks.
Mm-hmm. 30, yeah. So we're living 10 weeks, yeah. 10 gestation
evidently that is having children, or women birthing children within a 9 month is actually, back in the day, that wasn't how it seems like.
It still isn't. It's 10 months. It's 40 weeks. Yeah. So you divide that by 4, and that would be 10 months. Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't allow the baby to fully develop, and it's gestation period. Is that the right word? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a mother this lifetime. I was a mother many lifetimes before. But
my gestation period was 18 years ago. So it's gestation.
Yeah. And I just wanted to also respond to what Yssa was mentioning about Mary Magdalene being 14. It is my understanding. I mean, Deepak Chopra wrote a book called The 13th Disciple, and she's not mentioned. And there's a reason for it, because they want to hide the divine feminine. And I can get real deep about that. I have memory, and I'm not going to go into that today. That's not but I have memory of a lot of things I have not shared, and one day I will. But they want to hide the divine feminine and to suppress her power, but I say
to minimize her role. I think that accurately say is to minimize her role in all of creation.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and so it's interesting that you say that, because I was listening to Simon Parks again, and I've watched it a few times for personal reasons. And he mentioned when asked what was Mary Magdalene's role, and he said she was picked to bear a hybrid. And I do believe that yes, that's how the reptilian. Has anybody ever questioned? And I know I'm getting a little off, but I'll bring it back. But how did we end up with a reptilian and mammalian brain? It's because we were hybridized.
Yes.
The Lyrans, yes. And I know a lot about that too. So, but anyways, I'm so happy you guys are here.
Beautiful if we talk about that another time. I love that topic as well.
Yes, we can do that. And we can all come together and do another show. I would love that. Yes. Are you guys interested in any of the information? Maybe this will spark some memory or.
Sure. I just wanted to say in relation to Mary Magdalene, because, for instance, you said hidden. And normally when we take into consideration our 13 joints, the spaces that interconnect our 13 joints are 14. So the 14 is that hidden space that is holding the space for all the structures for the 13 joints to be. And it's that potential energy that is actually shaping in silence. And if we see how it is related to the role of the feminine energy, like holding the space and shaping everything, when we go like drastically in between feminine and masculine, when we put them together, then they are quite equivalent, you know, like co-creating. But when we just only talk about the feminine energy, you know, it's that womb, that potential energy that is shaping the kinetic energy, the matter, what will become in matter at some point. So the 14 spaces that interconnect the joints is like Mary Magdalene was doing, you know, holding the space for all the 13, the 12 apostles and Yeshua, you know, do their thing, go from place to place, and many other things that she was doing, because she was also not only not evident, she was precisely showing that equidistant figure. However, the translation of how this matrix has unfolded and given the information to us is that hidden figure that is in silence, shaping all the reality that in which they created, you know, the masculine created all those achievements and so forth, you know. And it's the same in relation to the spacing between the joints. The joints are the ones that are, you know, creating all the motion and, you know, all those mechanisms. But the space that interconnects the joints, you know, it's actually the amount of energy that the joints will end up expanding, you know, here.
I love that. I love that, Yssa. Yeah, our hands emit light. People don't really, you know, I stopped wearing nails and nail polish. Our hands emit light. And I'm not going to say I won't ever do it again, but I try not to. But I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that.
That really, the reflection to me of, you know, you mentioning this Mary Magdalene. Here it is, as he is functioning, as Yeshua is functioning. There's a certain level where this woman is also holding space, like they're both holding space. And it just made me think of, you know, the watch has this pretty face, but there's gears functioning inside the watch that you don't see. If you open up the watch, you'll see these moving parts where it'll appear as one person's doing the work, but it doesn't work if the gears are not moving together. So her value and importance, as one time I read, it was beautiful, that say we were in a park and all the men can come to the man to get the healing. Well, there's women that have been abused in many ways. We're not able to trust him or feel safe to have a man heal them. And so you have this woman working, also doing healing as much as he was, but working under his protection, because at this time, you know, if you are a female and you're allowed to have your own money, you're considered, you know, an unclean type woman. So you get this label. And so here they are working, holding space for each other, but allowing for women who otherwise would not be able to even come into that space to get healing. Because she is there, it allows women to come into that space. Remember, because this is a time where, well, women are just getting stoned, or they're having problems bleeding, or they're having like all these issues. And that what she provides is, you know, the healing. And people don't really discuss like, oh yeah, she laid hands on people, she healed. Her parents decided that she could go to school and learn farther than what she would normally learn in the esoteric school, because she didn't have to get married and she was allowed to inherit her own money without having a man be in charge of her money. But when you talked about the spaces in between the joints, that just took me to, you know, the prayers that we have about Sophia, take me to the womb where I know nothing and I can be born renewed, like in the darkness and the emptiness of the womb, you know, into the dark matter spaces where things happen, where that space is actually greater than this material space than we're in, right? So when you said about the joints, it just triggered that a lot for me. And I don't know if you want to talk more about it, because the space in between, it's like that's where we get to grow, right?
Yes. Yes, thank you for bringing that energy. It felt beautiful. And it, as you were talking, it came to me, for instance, it's like the ether, You know, we have the four elements, and then the ether was there, but nobody would talk about it. It was removed, you know, like no one will ever find it. We don't know what it is. Only the New Age and spirituality talks about it, but it's nothing, you know, like a solid rock basis to talk about. And now, when the scientific community is bringing it and breaching it through the 0 point energy, the zero, the Mayan considered the zero as everything and as nothing, you know, that emptiness, that void that includes the manifested and the unmanifested. So, for instance, and we can even relate the 5 to the pentagram, and then again the witches, you know, because they knew, you know, they knew how to. Well, we know how to work with it, you know, and with the moon frequency and how everything comes together. Because when we talk about the 13 joints and now the moon, for instance, the Mayan also brought together the 13 cycle, like 13 months, year, you know, in relation to the moon frequency. And they would also know that for every one of our joints, well, they don't talk about that, but yet I remember, for instance, within every one of our joints, those 13 aspects of ourselves, they are these power sources. We have Tauruses, you know? And when we fully ignite them, I mean, our whole structure is a Taurus itself. However, when we go through those layers, we have 13 Tauruses in each one of our joints. And that's where the harvesting control system are anchored to, through them, because it's our movement. So imagine, you know, everything that enslaves us, those memories, like handcuffs, bend down on your knees, the slavery in relation to our hips, which is the sexual aspect. You know, like, where are you deriving your sexual energy to? You know, the weight on the shoulders and so forth. You know, what are you capable to speak or not? Because this is our 13th joint in the throat. So it's the expression. It's the most, well, all of them are sacred, but, you know, and what is capable to restore these Tauruses? Because let's say that through the time system that we're being given, the Gregorian calendar, imagine that your body is flowing at a rhythm, and through the Gregorian calendar, it's like something is holding you back. It's generating incoherence in your field. Like now, our natural aspect tells us, guys, why are you celebrating New Year's Eve if it's still winter? What are you doing? Our biology says, like, you're crazy.
That's so true. Absolutely. And I want to speak to that. But if you don't mind, so you mentioned the Mayan calendar. The Mayans use a 13-day cycle in the sacred calendar. And I don't know how to pronounce this word. It's Tzolkin. Tzolkin. I don't know if that's right.
Yeah.
Which consists of 260 days, 13 numbers times 20 glyphs. The purpose to track spiritual and cosmic time. In Egyptian mythology, Osiris, the god of the afterlife, was cut into 14 parts. 13 were found and reassembled by Isis, symbolizing resurrection and the mystery of the afterlife. The purpose, to symbolize the journey from fragmentation to wholeness. I could keep going. I've got a lot of notes here, and I'd like to reference all of them because I think they're worthy of sharing. And I'll say the number 13 has held a profound and multifaceted significance in the spiritual, mystical, and esoteric traditions across cultures and throughout history. often misunderstood. 13 is associated with transformation cycles, divine feminine energy, and higher consciousness. Below is an exploration of its symbolic meanings and purposes. And I took tons of, and I wanted to share it so y'all all would have it to reference, but I don't know how to do that yet. Maybe somebody will teach me how to share screen and share information. I'll get there, guys. I appreciate your patience. But
Yeah, sure.
in numerology, 13 is considered a karmic number. It combines the energy of the number 1 in individuality, creation, and leadership, with 3, creativity, communication, and expression, which Yssa was just talking about, the throat and expression. Together, these energies signify a transformative process in the breaking of old patterns to create something new. The purpose, to inspire transformation and personal growth. To serve as a reminder of the cyclical nature of life and the importance of balancing individuality with creativity. The divine feminine, the number 13 is linked to the moon and the feminine energy. There are 13 lunar cycles in a year, aligning with the cycles of the menstruation and fertility. In many ancient cultures, 13 was revered as a number of the goddess. Purpose, to honor the power of creation and feminine wisdom, to reconnect with natural rhythms and cycles. And there's more, and I can refer to them. And by the way, guys, I just want to show you real quick. I put in the computer the number 13 and asked it to create or ChatGPT to create a flower of life with the number 13. And this is what it came up with, which I thought was amazing.
Yes.
So, yeah. I mean, there's so much to this number. Now, I don't know. I do believe it is used. They've introverted the number and use it for, their dark black magic spells and creating havoc for people and so forth. And I don't give them any energy. On the 13th, Friday the 13th in September, my car was hit and totaled. I had Prince in the car. He was strapped. And what's the blessing? And I got hit by the guy was going 50, 60 miles an hour. He was actually in the air, and I moved just within a second of me seeing my rearview mirror. I was able to move my car just enough where he didn't land on top of me or hit me directly straight, almost straight. But guess what? I walked away. I was jarred from the impact, but I had no major injuries. Neither did Prince. The whole window was black. He totaled my car. And I talked to, shout out to Dr. Amir, who said, Ida, just know that you were divinely protected. You were surrounded. So there are, we're still, and again, I don't give my power over to anything outside of me saying, if I become aware of something, I will do what I need to protect myself. But just to know that they use this number, let's talk about the inversion of the number 13 and how that's used, Black Friday, Friday the 13th. And I appreciate you mentioned about buildings and the escalators that only have 12, not the number 13. Even in high rises, when they have more floors, they'll skip the number 13.
Yeah, and you know why? Because then again, we say, as I was saying, like, how important can it be? Like, seriously, it's just a number. But then you say, like, why would they take it from the buildings? And it's because every time that in this holographic reality, we are enhancing the fact that we are going through the number 13, we are going beyond that point of transcendence. Because the 13, one of the values that it has is transcendence, going to the afterlife. A lot of people call that death, but in the ancient times, it was, like the real life. So every time we're pushing that tone, that frequency, it is sending emissions to the space-time fabric, to the hyperspace beyond this artificial matrix, and creating a field where we are emitting this frequency of transcendence. And some people or some institutions don't want that, because every time that we push that number, it is creating that sovereign state of transcending, the 12, which would be the steadiness, and moving forward. For instance, you were talking about Osiris and Isis and the 13 pieces, the 14 pieces, the 14 is related to the power, the phallus, the castration. So, and it's also related to the 14 spaces and to the 13 joints, 13 that were found, and 14, the power, which is missing, So when you ignite the 13 joints, you get the power of the 14 joint, which is barely talked about, which is the maxillofacial one, which is, again, the word, the capability of manifesting through the word, the abracadabra. That's why they also relate a lot the 13 to magic, because it is, even if we see 13 is 1 plus 3, 3 that become 1. So it's that transcendence into the oneness or into the wholeness, but they have put it all in shadows, because accessing to that number is a humongous amount of power. Yes. It's the pyramid of the 7 levels that goes up and goes down, and the 7 directions, which is actually unfolding this incubation, blossoming, stopping our hibernation and moving up to hyperspace and other densities, So I do believe
if you add the 3 and the 1, that's a 4, which 4 is a builder number. So I think what you just said is lovely. Yes. Susan, you're not saying much. You want to share something? We want to hear you.
I'm just listening. I only got 2 hours sleep. I was traveling all last night, and I didn't get home till 2. And my cat woke me up at 6, and then I had to run errands. And he's climbing all over me because he hasn't seen me for a week. So
I did want to say that with that number 13, hoping, because you're saying this, Issa, and I really want people to feel what you're saying. When you miss out on the use of or your connection to the number 13, like you not being able to touch the button 13, like this is a divine number. We've been told this is a bad number. This is actually a divine number that helps you connect to the creator. And you missing out on that connection, thinking it's bad, you're actually missing a space or a connection to the creator by not being allowed to use it or being told that something is bad. Creating more illusion, and the illusion creating separation and causing us to live out of balance. It could go as far as pain in your body. I was noticing that a lot of people feel very insecure, very weak, very powerless. Why? Because if you're not living in resonance with the truth and you can't access the power of the truth, you can never be sure of yourself. You can never be confident. You're all, you're living a life off balance. So the people would say, well, what's the big deal? Why you guys would have a show about the number 13 or any of the other truths that we talk about? It is so that you can access your divine birthright to be the powerful being that can create on this planet and literally connect with source. So if you have a building that has 22 floors, there is a 13th floor. What do they do on the 13th floor? What do they have on the 13th floor? Because they might have a shrine inside this building. They might have something built inside on the 13th floor. I even think about this when I go to, when I see people having a concert, the stage is lifted and you see people performing. This makes me think of Janet Jackson because her songs are very nice and very cute little songs, but it's always some BDSM stuff going on stage. And I'm like, I wonder what's underneath the stage. What ritual are they performing that you don't see, that you're giving your energy to, that is unseen? So what we're talking about is tapping into the unseen.
Yes.
For yourself.
Yes. And if we see the arcane 13 is death, you know, which is that process of rebirth, you know. When I say death, it's because, for instance, in the Mayan cosmology, Oxlahun, which is actually the 13, and it's the way that you go down to the pyramid. You know, it's that arcane that you're going up to the 7 and then going down and then heading to what they call the Xibalba, which is the underground or the underworld. But the underworld means the exit of this artificial matrix, is how you reach the wormholes that connect to Orion's nebula and then exit this artificial matrix. So that's why they're related to death, because somehow you are dying, your perception of reality is being transcended. So death means that transcendence. And I just want to say that, for instance, if we overlap this information with the tree of life, like saying the buildings, imagine the tree of life. When we talk about the Kabbalah, or we talk about the Christmas tree, you know, and the Kabbalah not being complete, and then there is another tree of Kabbalah that they showed with 12 aspects. And I talk about the tree of Kabbalah with 13 spheres, you know, like it is when you complete the Kabbalah, the tree of life of the Kabbalah, you complete it, you have 13 spheres. You were talking about knowledge. Well, Aida, and you were talking about knowledge. The sphere, the one that goes in the high heart, is the one that represents the knowledge. And that was emptied. That was emptied. So therefore, our ego was emptied. Not because our ego is this, you know, actually our ego is the sphere number 6 related to beauty. But I would be covering many aspects. What I want to say is that when we complete our tree of life with 13 spheres, and it can even be more complex. It can even be into 22, which is the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, because every letter is a frequency, and that's how many things were created in relation to this artificial matrix and hologram. Yet the 13 is a stage of completion of the tree of life, where we fully light up our Christmas tree, you know. Otherwise, it's like a Christmas tree with only just a few bulbs switched on. So when we complete our 13 spheres, that's the first stage of enlightening our Christmas tree. And I do believe that that knowledge, which is here in the high heart, in the thymus, which was emptied when, you know, because I was talking about Ophiuchus and the serpent, like the serpent barrier. That serpent representing the evil and representing, which again has been distorted big time. It was just the knowledge being offered to Eve. Eve taking it, and then as a consequence, not from God, yet from a galactic being, saying, okay, you took the knowledge, the source knowledge, okay, now you will leave amnesia. You know, now you will go, you will empty all that knowledge, and now you will go through amnesia. But that amnesia was deposited in the ego. That's
I was going to say that wasn't the original. That wasn't the original. That happened much later. which I don't want to get too deep into that, but I appreciate you sharing that for sure. That happened much later. At least from what yeah.
Well, you know, I think that if topics come up, it's because for a reason, you know, it's like, I'm still not fully, I'm also not fully going through it, because then it opens like a lot of topics. But just to make it clear, there are different levels of amnesia. And yeah, you're right. You know, in order to touch this topic, I would have to cover many other ones, you know, in relation to the Ark of the Covenant, because this is mainly what I'm talking about, you know, the genetic arc. The genetic
I would love to have that conversation with you, because I feel like I have some information that would bring value to the conversation, and we definitely can do a show on that. Yssa, I would love that. Yes. I think these are all topics. I mean, you say many things that I'm sure that trigger, and, you know, at least the people listening and the other beautiful women here on the panel. These are topics that I think a lot of people are interested in and would like to have some clarity. And I want to remind people, we all include, I'll speak for myself, we only can share information from the level of conscious awareness of our own experience, our own wisdom, right? And what we have actualized within ourselves, so that we can, but it doesn't make it, you know, we can both look at the same thing and see something different, right? And so that's where our individuality and our autonomy is so important, that, you know, just depending on the level of awareness and consciousness and our own personal experiences, that we do our best to come with, you know, to share with integrity and to not mislead or misguide in any way, but to just really share what we know. And I often say, we only know what we know till we know something else. And that keeps me in a place of humility and grace and understanding I don't know everything. And my perception of something could be skewed, right? Therefore, I'm open to having a greater understanding or understanding. You know, we play with these words. And I appreciate you mentioning something about casting spells. The truth is, we do magic every day. We do ritual every day. If you get up and you brush your teeth, that's a ritual that you do on a daily basis. That's at the basic understanding, right? We have rituals that we do that were, so people, you know, I hear, you know, I don't operate in dark magic. I do other things. I don't play in that field. I've had past lives where I did. It's not what I choose this lifetime. I choose love, truth, and true light. Now, although I'm aware, I'm not a love and lighter, and I say this often, I am a person that believes in balance and wholeness, but I never have the intention to be misleading, hurtful, or harmful to anybody. That is not my intention. And I love you ladies so much. And Erika, I'm so happy you joined us.
Me too.
You know, I'm really happy you're here with us. Yeah.
Well, so, you know,
I love listening, but I'd like to hear maybe some, you know, Erika, if you want to share.
I have a limited level of knowledge of certain things. And so, but what I can always bring you is good questions. And so, because she hit
fair enough. I mean, actually, sometimes the questions are more important than the answer. I would say that again. Sometimes the questions are more important or bring more value than the answer. Well, and I will remind that there is a space in between that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Well, what it brings me to is, because she already mentioned Kabbalah. Okay, so I'm enjoying that fact that we have to just get to this point where we debunk everything and stop allowing ownership of what is here and available to us. Stop giving ownership of it to the dark side or the Kabbalah. I mean, not the Kabbalah, to the Cabal or to the Illuminati. And so I am loving the fact that we can remove this type of stereotype and Stop making everything so darn spooky. You know, every time you see somebody do this, you know, like this is a mudra, you know what I mean? Yes. But you're going to give it away and remove yourself from having a certain level of power because everything to you is spooky. And like you say, your knowledge is as good as today until you learn something new. And so I feel like for the last 4 years, especially, there's just been a lot of shouting and pointing about these certain symbols and numbers, but not really a deeper understanding. And I feel like here we are, we have this fragment of knowledge, like yoga, you do yoga, but we don't really understand the life of a yogi. We would like to say, oh, you should be a vegetarian or a vegan, but we're taking pieces of history, religion, or other people's cultures and trying to create something out of it without an understanding of the background, a full level understanding, a deeper study of it. So as she was mentioning the tree of life and this 13 tree, well, there's one tree with 10, 11, and 12. So easily, I feel like, because it is not what we see as the most powerful, we want to say that it's evil or bad. And I would like to know what more you think people using the 10 tree, 11, 12, not 13, and Kabbalah in general, because I don't consider any of the things evil or bad. It's the person using it. You know what I mean? So yeah, sure. I just feel like we have this opportunity with YssaH being here. And I'm like, tell me more. Tell me more.
Oh, thank you.
It seems like 13's a multiplier too, because when you look at covens, they have 13, and they're supposed to be 13 apostles, and they just keep demonizing it. And then, you know, like if you're into some of the SSP stuff, a lot of these hotels that have the chaos symbol out in front of, in the lobby or out in front of the hotel, what if that 13th floor is where they manifest portals, jump rooms, all this stuff?
That's because what I was thinking.
This number holds so much energy, and they've just demonized it. And then shoot, that was even, I'm sitting there doing calculations, but I noticed that I had a Mars cycle, which was every 38 days. So under the 12 year, I would have 9 cycles, but under the 13, I would have 10. But other people that don't have a Mars cycle would be monthly. So where does that put me when we used to be able to choose our cycles? Because they've kind of run us down, I think, because you used to be able to pick when you could be pregnant and when you would have a cycle, and now they forced us on it so we could technically get pregnant every month if you're still, you know, not in menopause. And it's interesting.
Yes. Yes, it is.
That was fantastic what you just, yeah. Okay. I think that was great information what you just shared, especially the idea about the 13th floor and the hotels and creating portals and so forth and so on. I mean, I don't know if you ladies are aware of this. I do know that the last 3 letters, TON, of any city, town, hotel, TON, Washington, Trenton, Hilton, I could go on, is a secret code for the Illuminati to let their people know that they can find their people there, or we'll call secret societies. I don't even like using the word Illuminati, but we get the idea who we're talking about here. So TON, and I know that for sure. I mean, Jay Parker, who I hold in high esteem, has done, and I give a shout out to him. He's amazing. And he's kind of, you know, he's been I haven't seen much from him, but he grew up in an Illuminati family and had shared that. And I thought that was interesting, considering I grew up in Wheaton. And when I went through my spiritual awakening or went through my dark night of the soul and was being targeted, I lived in a place called the Silverton, and a lot of things happened there. So portals can be, every time you walk through a door and you go through a threshold, you walk into a different timeline dimension. I don't know if y'all are aware of that.
Yeah.
So, and yeah.
Yeah, but now imagine using the energy of the people coming You know, like if we connected with what Susan said and what we are talking about, you know, the cross and the center, for every person that goes into a building, you know, and is moving up higher, it's leaving their energy, which is what I was talking about, the harvesting control systems. You know, it's like you are owning mostly 20% of your energy, and the 80%, if you're not aware of it, it's going directly to very specific egregors, you know, like, so every time that you're into a building, all that energy is being funneled to the number 13, but you're not using it. So it's the same as the serpent. And that's the thing also about this, you know, if we connect the 13 Tauruses, it's this what was enslaved in our in the programs, you know, like you are limited in what you give and what you take, in how you move, in your ankles, where you're allowed to go or not to, who you are bending to, you know, who is your sexual energy going to, and, you know, at many levels. So that 13 is that autonomy, which is related to that serpentine force, which the ancient priestess were quite connected to the serpent, because they were using it as the fundamental pattern of any energy wave. So when you own your energetic waves, this is the portal in relation to what Susan was talking. Here, the high heart is our, I mean, we have portals throughout all our body. However, if we are talking about very specific epicenters, here is the epicenter, because it's the cross, like our arms, and then aligned to our head, and the rest of our body going vertically. Here, it creates the point of communion, just in between this line and this line. So
Absolutely.
when we want to time travel, we need to have our thymus gland very activated, because it is actually quite connected to the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, and they create a very interesting trinity. And to all the glands, but at different levels. So anyway, so for instance, when we don't have our full tree of life activated in relation to what Erika was asking, you know, if we don't have this, which is the knowledge, you know, the knowledge of our multidimensional body, and therefore being capable to time travel, this was, when I say it was emptied and the amnesia, I'm talking about like generating a void, energetic void here of all the memories, multidimensional memories that we have. And they show it in the Kabbalah. They even say, when the crown sphere is present, this is not. And when the crown goes, this appears. What does this mean? When the claustrum, which is in Latin, that which imprisons, is open, and open, I mean generating a very specific substance, then our knowledge is restored. You know, it's also with the kids, you know, when they have opened the fontana, then there is a
That's where the Santa Claus comes from, the Klaus, and that's a whole nother. We definitely have to have a conversation specific to what you're talking about, because I think people would enjoy that, and it's important. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
No, I wanted to be specific to that, what you just said. It's very important. And I think, you know, when you have a Kundalini activation, people think that the Christ is something external. It is not. The Christ, we are all the Christ. Once you activate your Kundalini and you open up your third eye and you light up your crown chakra, it's like the kings and queens. They wear crowns. That's a representation that they are enlightened, right? That's what they wear.
It's like the lotus flower. It's like the lotus flower that you did with
Yes.
Lotus flower.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I love that you said that the information gets dropped down into the thymus, into the heart center, the higher heart. I think that's so important. And the whole goal really is that we move out of duality into neutral a neutral position where we understand that there's light in the dark and dark in the light, right? And that if we can go into a neutral.
I'm sorry. And how can we move from that if we don't have the knowledge, as Erika was saying? How can we?
Well, part of it is doing deep breathing. I mean, we think it's an external thing and in books, but really, if you sit still and get silent and do breathing techniques, you will get there. A very simple sitting still, breathing in 4 seconds, breathing out 6 seconds. Do it for 3 minutes a day just to start. And when I do it, my body spins. I go like this. It just naturally does it. And I'm creating a toroidal field of my Merkaba, my energy, right? And everybody's capable of doing this. I'm not special in this. We all are capable of it. And it's just a matter of being disciplined and practicing and doing it. Then you can get it where you're left and right hemisphere and balance. You're not polarized either way, that you're really in a neutral space. From that perspective, it's like you have new eyes, right? You see things much differently, and from a place of love and compassion rather than judgment and degradation. And I could keep going. And it requires, we don't stay there, guys. Like, it's so important that we do the practice to maintain our vibration and our frequency, to be able to hold that for ourselves. It's not like, it's like that, you can go up, but it's a guarantee you're going to come down. The goal is to keep yourself. Yes. So
I would like to say something about that.
Too, but anyway,
because YssaH brought it to the thymus. And we're talking about the number 13 and what is hidden there. And because you brought up earlier, when they enslaved people, where do they put the shackles? They put them on the wrists, right? They put it around the throat. They did put it around the waist, and they put it around the ankles, right? So they're like blocking up the chakras, right? And imprisoning you. But you're saying even through the generations, as you're moving forward, people being born, they're still carrying the chain from there. But even when it comes to now with the thymus, there is an effort to attack it because it's a very important part of your body, right? So if you start to think about the diseases and infections, so, there is a concerted effort when you think about people with A blood type, B blood type, O blood type, what diseases they're susceptible to, that you can see there's been an effort to attack certain blood types because they know the gifts that certain blood types have. Certain blood types are not necessarily susceptible to HIV, right? But those that are, the thymus is being attacked through the viral infection of HIV and through different autoimmune, and with things like you've seen doctors who diagnose people with cancer. They didn't really have cancer, and they're giving them chemo drugs, and so now there's an effort to destroy the thymus.
Yes, definitely. Because the thymus creates the T cells that create that are stem cells. They reach in mother cells that are creating this immune system, enriching the immune system. And if you relate that to amnesia, for instance, when we don't know the truth, then what are we talking about in relation to the 13th joint? What are we talking about? Then we're talking about gibberish, or what was taught to us, which is happening now, like worldwide. What people is talking about is what has been told, but what about your inner truth? And that's where Aida is connected, what you were saying. For instance, if you connect with your inner truth,
Can you repeat that? You broke up, YssaH. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the moment that you connect with your inner truth, coming from your high heart, then you're starting to create not only memory and connecting with the lattice or with the space memory network, you're starting to live in coherence and therefore in manifestation. So I do believe, and what I do always share and encourage people is to try to remember their own truth, you know, because, for instance, for me, the ego is not evil, you know. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, you were breaking up quite a bit, so that, yeah.
For everyone, or
we
just
do have
Aida? For you, Aida, because the rest can listen to me.
Okay. I don't know why it's breaking up for me. It did. I mean, it's clear now, but for a minute there, it was broken. Okay. I think it was broken up for Erika as well, because I noticed she asked to let us know if you can hear us clearly.
No, I just was making sure, since you asked, I just asked the audience to keep us informed, because I can hear.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. I can hear. Sometimes it's our bandwidth when we're at home, but
well. Does anybody want to read the question? There's a question for Christina Hansen. I don't know if anybody's interested in the question is, can I just ask how many of you ladies have actually experienced real cult satanic rituals? I'll wait if anybody wants to answer.
In the programs, but not in 3D.
I have definitely. But there, yeah. So I'll answer quickly, and then we're going to get back to it on a positive note.
There was another one.
So
too.
I went through.
Yeah.
Another question. Well, let me answer that real quick. Yes. So there was a black magic ritual done on my life, offering me up to Moloch, and I was severely targeted. My house was broken into. I had jinn in my home. But I remember being hung by my feet, and they were attempting to sacrifice me, although I escaped, and I kicked butt. And I'll just say that. I'm not going to go into details, but it was not a fun experience. I do believe that I performed the same ritual that I did in a past life. It made it tenfold more powerful, but it was something I agreed to prior to coming in this lifetime. Okay, what's the next question? Erika, do you want to read it? Because I don't see it.
Yeah,
I hope that answered your question.
I put them in the private chat. So Spiritual Goddess, she said, how do we activate, light up our 13th sphere of the tree or triangle? I'm not sure if you answered it to her satisfaction or not, but it was one in the comment. And then the other one, we are the access portal to dimensions, and the only way a parasitical entity can gain access to these dimensions that we were meant to be protecting as guardians. But I guess that was a statement, but I guess someone did ask, how do you light them up? And I think, Aida, you were also covering that too, with the breathing and with the visualization that you were discussing, as well as what YssaH, but these were just some questions I found in there.
Yeah, I would love to say something about it, which is related to that answer, to that question, and also to the one that Aida covered. Because, for instance, the epicenter of our tree of life is here, which represents our ego matrix, you know, which related to beauty. So when we see about the archangels, which are the angles of the arc, which is the arc of the tree of life, which is the genetic arc, but I will just mention it, not going through it. One of the archangels was actually the fallen one, and it's related to, even though in the Kabbalah, well, and this is related to this is why this is missing, or was missing, you know, this arc, that which was related to Lucifer. That's why they removed it. And that's why they also do a lot of rituals now using those numbers, because they take in advantage that missing information. But I will go through that in a bit. So when they exile that fallen archangel, represents this missing sphere. I'm just saying about algorithms, okay? Beyond the story, you know, I'm just talking about algorithms and configuration within the human holographic body. So now, this, which is related to beauty, which is related to Gabriel, Gabriel was the hander, like he gave information to the Muslims, to the Christians, to the to also to the Hebrews, you know, that they, and then they created a lot of artifacts like the cube, for instance. So bottom line, the main epicenter for me so far that I remember and that I use to enlighten our 13 sphere tree of life is feeling this with the information coming from the source, like creating a wormhole to the source, reaching in and bringing source information, and then filtering it all the way to the ego, because the ego acts as how it acts because it's amnesiac. It came empty. So that sphere, the beauty, it came empty. So how will it, what memory was placed on it? The memory of the artificial matrix. What's beauty? Standards. What's beauty? To be beautiful according to what others think. Fulfill expectations of others. Doing whatever you need to do in order to be accepted and beautiful for others. So that's how the ego matrix was filled in with the information that they codified for this artificial matrix. So when we fill in our ego matrix, the beauty, with the information coming from here, from the source all the way here, then beauty becomes harmony and becomes right. And as this is the epicenter, we start to rotate it with our plasma field, and then we start to light up. And it's also a lot of configurations because each sphere has a numerical value. So it's taking all of them into consideration and weaving again your holographic body. But this is spinning once it is full. And then instead of ego, it becomes the eco. Starts to generate eco.
Oh, I love that. I love that, YssaH. That's lovely. Yes. I love that. I've never thought of it like that.
It definitely creates freedom because the mind, you know, coming from here, you're trapped, you're worried. I don't know how this is gonna work. How is this gonna happen? You're trying to find answers that are already answered. You know, the solutions are already done. Things are already working in your favor. But here we're just trapped. And then once you do what you're saying, now it's like you have space, you have freedom. Now, because of this, your shoulders lighten up, your hips lighten up, everything loosens up and becomes free just by letting this loose. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
I think people, you know, there's a misnomer, and I appreciate what you just said, Erika. You just made me think about it, right? People, you know, we see a lot of we see, or I'll rather than say we, I'll speak for myself, and maybe you guys can relate to this, but there's so much, from my perspective, misguidance in the, let's just say the new age community, right? As far as manifestation and what's required to truly live a blissful life, right? To live in at the very least in harmony within ourselves, and we have moments of bliss, and to stay in that ecstatic space, from my perspective, you know, it requires a lot of work and commitment. I don't believe you stay there. It's like you never arrive. I say that often. We never arrive, people. It's a constant unfoldment. And we can enjoy the journey of just like the simplicity of life. It doesn't have to be, you know, just being in harmony within ourselves. But
within yourself.
In order for a true manifestation to take place, now I'll say when I had my Kundalini activation that things were much quicker for me to manifest. Like all the synchronicities were showing up for me to manifest what I wanted. But now I understand that, you know, it requires us doing some footwork behind it. We can imagine it in our mind, and then we take we set a plan and we take the first step and we put energy into that first step, into the second, into the however many steps to create the thing. And eventually you walk into the creation of your own manifestation. But it's not like you just think a thought and everything just pops in your hand. And in the fifth and above, maybe we're not there yet. But we can, I know for me, I'm able to manifest a lot quicker than I was at, things have sped up a bit. And so, yeah, I thought about that because of what you just said, Erika.
We have to loosen up the grip, and there's pieces of what you're saying that makes me come back to this. I was thinking about this earlier today, is if we loosen up the grip of our self-importance, because here we are, everybody wants to be Neo. We all want to save the world. And it's like, okay, but the world can save itself. We want to heal the earth, but really we need to be just asking the earth to help us heal. And so we're placing a lot of self-importance on what it is that we need to do and how we need to fix everyone and change everyone. Mm-hmm. But coming into this space that Issa is talking about, your job is not to heal the world and save the planet. It is to come into connection with the flow of the energy around you, the positive energy, connecting to the source for these positive things. That's what allows the manifestation, right? Because now, if everything is,
I think what you're sharing is so important. Say it again, scream it out to the rooftop.
So seriously. Now when we come into this flow, we don't have a hard grip on, I want this, and it has to be this way at this time. And once we begin to let that go, now we can be allowed to manifest. But, and sometimes I feel like we're allowed to see this much, and it's so much. I feel like people want to know the answers to everything, and they want to think that they see everything and know everything, but just always knowing that you're only allowed to see but so much. If you really could see all that was around you, it would be overwhelming, right? It would be too much.
Absolutely.
Even some of the things that you want to manifest, the things that come with it, you might be too afraid because what comes with that manifestation. So you're allowed to see this much. Be free and open to it, because what you desire can be magnified more so than you even know if you allow, if you put your hands up and let go and release and allow. And the creator can give you far more than you can imagine, because my imagination is fucking weak. You know what I mean? Like, think about the things that you want. Like, we're just barely tapping into what is possible. I don't know everywhere I want to go or what I want to do. I only can tap into just this little bit. But now if I do this thing and I allow myself, now, my God, I don't know what I'm going to see. Now, when I'm on the car with you and we're all four in the car and I'm like, I know I want to go, to the mall. And then, but now if I loosen up and Aida says, well, I want to stop here. But if I'm holding on to, I just want to go to the mall. This is just example, right? Mm-hmm. She might show me a statue in a park that I hadn't imagined that I could see if I allow her to help me, guide me. You know what I mean? If I allow the unknown and unforeseen, the possibilities to come up. Now I'm living a truly beautiful life that is more amazing because I'm not having to be in control of every moment. And I guess what? And then I'm not in control of Aida's responses, her feelings, her level of growth. I release my control over the people around me. And now I can just focus on, I can be happy now, right? Because I've let go of everything that has to do with everyone else that I've been trying to control and manage, which I don't know what causes us to be this way, but.
I do believe that it's from my experience, and what I do remember is that what wants to control is the fact of the ego matrix not knowing.
The fear of not knowing.
Because it's that uncertainty of what it is, because even the ego knows that what is playing is fake, but it's trying to control through those programs that were set and encrypted on it. So it's the moment that we feel in our ego. It's that baby that came in, you know, in blank. And then the matrix, well, who programmed the artificial matrix and how it functions, stuffed it in with all these programs. And our ego is just waiting, like, hey, can somebody help me? You know, I need to remember. I just need to remember. But that level of remembrance is detached from the control. Right. Because that level of memory is connected to the source. So therefore, you don't need to control, you know?
This takes me to one of my favorite things to think. Like, if you were the warden of a prisoner, you know, of a prison, right? For me to control it, for me to keep everyone in prison, I still have to go to the prison and turn the key. So now who's the real prisoner? Me, because I want to control this thing and I have the key and I want to make sure everybody's in line, but I have to be there to do that, right? So if I let go of all the wrong that is done to me and all the things that I want to control and fix and push for myself, I can actually walk down the road and be free, right? I can go through blaze a new trail because I'm not here having to hold on to this one thing that is keeping me here. And I guess that's what brought this on, is when you talk about the ego. And to me, it just leads me to this thought of freedom now, when the ego becomes eco, like you said. But it's beautiful. Anyway, I get a little
it's beautiful. Thank you. We love it.
Fuzzy, you guys, I get fuzzy. So yeah.
Well, may I respond to, so the ego, let's not, you know, the ego is the personality self, and you would not be able to navigate this 3D realm or any other realm without it.
You need it. It's in charge of your survival.
We can become our friend. We can integrate it, and we can choose to operate from a place of balance and harmony and groundedness, to be here, present in the here and now, and not to what you said, self-importance, Erika. I think that's so important. You know, when I had, you know, I'll be the first one to admit it. When I had my spiritual awakening, like, I just thought everybody was effing idiots and nobody was seeing what I was seeing. And I became very aggressive and towards my family and those that were close around me at the time prior to moving here to Florida. I had to go through a really deep, dark night of the soul. I mean, it was tough for me. I was angry. I was very angry. And I have come such a long way from realizing that I was in spiritual egotism, right? Thinking that I knew all these things, and, you know, I hold church.
You were just a baby. And maybe that's,
sorry?
Yeah, maybe that's because you were a baby. And so is that just a stage that we go through and then guess what? But you matured outside of that at some point.
Well, absolutely matured.
Just need some time to mature it on that level. But you said the most magical thing that triggered this for me to even mention it is because you said the army of one. And that's something, I am my own universe, right? I am the army of one. So if I want to heal everybody, let me heal me.
Yes, that's correct. Very good. That's a great analogy, because we're not here, you know, and this is just my perspective. We're not here. I went through that. I thought I was here to save the world, like literally. And and it became very heavy and very disappointing. Nobody was listening, or at least I felt nobody was listening. And I had all these, you know, things that I needed to share and people needed to know. And people can't see what you see. They can only see from the level of awareness and consciousness. That's why I don't, you know, people say, oh, we need to wake I thought, you know, I followed along in that program for a minute until I realized that it was hurtful and harmful to myself and others. And I realized that I don't have a right to push my beliefs or what I think is right, wrong, good, or bad to anybody. I can only share from my own personal perspective and experience. This is what I experienced going through my spiritual awakening and so forth. And again, we never arrive. There's not.
But these are the waves. So then when we begin to sit back, and now we notice there's the waves, because you can think about how the same thing was happening in the 50s. We got to wake up. In the 60s, we got to wake up. Like there's all these, every decade, there's like this new level of spiritual movement, and everybody's rah-rah. And then people build a compound, and you'll see it. So you'll see all these compounds start coming up, new religions coming up, new beliefs coming up. But it's just a part of the wave, right? So then I began to tell people, you're so-called awake or whatever you feel you are, spiritually enlightened. But guess what? 20 years ago, somebody was waiting for you. 100 years ago, somebody was waiting for them. So this thing, this constant cycle. And then you begin to realize, if you can put it in perspective, they've been predicting the end of the world since it started.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's been this conscious movement to unite and change since it started. And this is where all the practices are coming from, the waves of people.
The cycles. And the moment that we get the cycles right, then we know how to navigate them. The thing is that if we are not going in a true time, then it generates a big distortion, like cognitively, biologically. And you know what?
Sure.
You know, that part of believing that we are the saviors is part of the ego. But when I talk about the ego, I don't refer to the ego in that new age form, transcend your ego, because it is locking you down. No, because as Aida was saying, that's part of what is connected and routed to this matrix. However, when we are capable to transform the ego into eco, then we are expanding the true information of that vessel, of that matrix, and it's fulfilling its purpose as the epicenter it is. Because unfortunately, the ego, as how it was programmed, it is just isolating, like if we tune into what the ego does, it isolates you. It's trying to be more than the others or imposing to the others, referring from
separation. It creates
it wants to protect itself.
But I'm just saying, in an overall way, because the ego has like many layers. As I was saying, not as a condemning form of approach to the ego at all, because it's the epicenter, So, but that's not its true nature. That's not its true nature. It's twisted, and that's how they use it, as far as I know, in these rituals, satanic rituals, and so forth, because they used on their behalf that inversion of the ego to go in and infiltrate through fear and through that amnesia and through pam, 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 pam. So if we turn upside down, torsion our ego, then it starts to expand through eco, because in its true nature, because then again, it's the epicenter, it's that black hole. But that black hole would now be satiated, satisfied. And that's the thing, when it's up-twisted, it's an endless insatisfaction, which what happens? Okay, I will be happy when I have this. I will, and so forth. It was just true.
Right. That's right.
It takes me back to
something that comes from outside of you. I love what you just said, YssaH. I'm listening to you, just so you know. I have a few more that I'd like to refer to.
Can I blurt something out right before you do it?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Can I blurt something out right before you do it? It brings me back to meeting Sean, and what he would say is like nurture, like I am safe. Like as soon as you can put yourself in the space where you're like, I am safe, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to trip. I don't have to do all this. I don't have to fight or wrestle. Okay, I'm in a safe place. Definitely nurture.
Sean's the best one to tell us that, isn't he?
Yeah,
he is. He's such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
YssaH and Sean stayed with me, and I had a tough time. Listen, by the way, a quick shout out. Full disclosure now, guys. It's on the bottom in the banner. the 31st is going to be what? The Tuesday. The early bird tickets will no longer be available. So if you're interested in joining us, everybody on the screen will be there. Come join us. We're going to have.
I will do the MC. You know what I want to do, Ida? Not just sit there with the mic. I want to have a couch on the stage. I want to be able to talk on the couch. Yeah, like if I want to ask questions on stage and just have my couch so that I can help the person.
We'll talk about that off camera. Maybe we could see if we can put something for you, Erika.
I want to be Dr.
So shout out to Brian Singh, the executive producer of the Full Disclosure Now conference. I am his assistant co-producer along with Peter. And it's not our conference. It's humanity's conference. Doesn't belong to Brian, doesn't belong to me, doesn't belong to any of these. It's our conference. Very important to let everybody know that. We are only facilitating, nothing more. And we want everybody to be there. There's going to be amazing presentation, speaker lineup, and vendors this year coming. A few things are going to change, but not much. We're hoping to have it more structured and it run, in a smooth, although last year was fantastic. We all had a great time.
Yes,
and YssaH and Sean will be there again doing a presentation together. We're excited. So you guys go to the fulldisclosurenow.org and get your tickets. We're
going to level up on those costumes.
Yes, join us.
Yeah, get a costume.
Costumes for that party.
Yeah, we're going to have a ball. So I'm just going to share a couple. I don't know how long you guys want to go. I mean, I'm loving this. We are going almost 2 hours. We started it a little like quarter after. So you figure,
you got the right.
I don't know. We could probably go about 15, 20 more minutes and then I'll have to hop off.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Are you guys okay with that? And then we could do a part 2, or we can do I don't know if you guys want to come back on. I'd love to have you back on in February.
Why not?
Yeah. And and I'm open to topic suggestions, by the way. I mean, this is for all of us, not just myself.
Yes. Be sure to write what you want.
Any topic suggestions we can go over, or those that are here listening, those that are joining us, thank you for being here. Please do subscribe to Cosmic Rue, share it out, invite your friends, your family. This is a place where we reach hearts and minds, and really, want to bring value to people's lives, information, at the very least, just to reach your heart, let you know that you're loved, you're supported, and there's a place for you. And we're all here to support that.
Yes.
By the way, I think make friends with your ego and thank it for the work it's done. And now you can retire and just be them in your self-discipline. Thank you for that comment, Christine Hansen. I don't know if you guys heard what I just shared. It said, make friends with your ego. And yeah, part of the process is really just self-actualizing and loving yourself wholly. And I mean WHOLLY, loving yourself wholly, right? And if there's things that you want to change, that's part of the shadow work, where we have thoughts that aren't so becoming, or things that we beat ourselves up about, or we judge ourselves, or we project out on other people. And typically when we're projecting on other people, it's because there's something within our own self that we're uncomfortable with, and therefore we recognize it in other people. But that person is only a mirror to help you recognize it in yourself, right? Always. I'm a big person, I believe in shadow work and owning your shit, admitting when you're wrong, apologizing, and having supportive women in your life, men, supportive people like these women that support you and help you work through your stuff. But that doesn't mean we go and dump all our crap on people either. Like sometimes you have to sit still and get silent and just face your own darkness and say, okay, enough is enough. And I got to make the change. Nobody's going to do it for me. Right. Anyways, I can keep going on about that. In tarot, the 13th card is death, which symbolizes endings, transformation, and rebirth, and encourages shedding old identities or patterns to embrace new beginnings. The purpose, to guide individuals through periods of transition, to remind us that all endings lead to new opportunities. Number 4, sacred geometry. In sacred geometry, 13 represents unity within complexity. It is often depicted in mandalas and symbols such as the flower of life, where 13 circles form patterns of interconnectedness. The purpose, to illustrate the interconnectedness of all existence, to promote meditation and spiritual alignment. And again, I'll just show you guys this. I put the number 13 in ChatGPT, and this is what it created for me, the flower of life. So that's what it looks like. And there's tons of them out, of course. And astrology and 13. Some astrologers recognize, okay, you guys can say the word because I don't know how to say it. Ophiuchus.
Ophiuchus.
The 13th sign, which disrupts the traditional 12-sign zodiac. Ophiuchus is associated with healing and transcendence. The purpose, to expand understanding of cosmic influence, to embrace unconventional perspectives. And this is the last one I'm going to share, or actually there's two more. Freemasonry and 13. In Freemasonry, the number 13 often symbolizes the quest for spiritual enlightenment and the unity of opposites. The purpose, to inspire pursuit of wisdom and higher understanding. And then the last one, modern spiritual practices. In contemporary spiritual circles, 13 is seen as a number of empowerment and awakening. It is often invoked during rituals, meditation, and affirmations focused on personal transformation. The purpose, to invoke divine guidance and protection, to symbolize mastery over life's challenges. The conclusion is the number 13 holds powerful esoteric meanings that transcend its reputation as an unlucky number. Its association with cycles, transformation, and higher consciousness reminds us of the beauty of change and the interconnectedness of all things. Whether used in rituals, meditation, or symbolic art, 13 continues to serve as a potent tool for spiritual growth and self-discovery. Thank you. I hope everybody heard that. Yeah. There's so much to it, and we could keep going. I mean, of course, I encourage anybody to, if this is a topic that you're super interested in, do your own research. I mean, and because there's so much information out there about the number 13 and its purpose and how it can be used for enlightenment and transcendence and so forth.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something, Isa?
Yeah, now that you are talking about enlightenment, also another practice that you can do is visualizing a 7-step pyramid aligned to your body. And through the breath work that you were saying, Aida, for example, or through any other breath work, visualize how you are moving up, from down up and then down. So then you're covering those 13 levels. You can even go even deeper if you want to connect with each one of your 13 joints, and going level by level, like moving up and then moving down. It would be from your left ankle all the way to your throat, and then all the way down to your right ankle, to detach from all the harvesting control systems. And
wait, would you repeat that again, please? Go. Sure. You breathe it in from your feet and then go down to your right ankle. What'd you just say about that? I'm sorry.
Through all your joints. For instance, if you start in your left ankle, considering your joints, also with those 7 levels, so you go left ankle, left knee, hips, wrist, elbow, shoulder, and throat. This is the upper level of your pyramid. and then you go all the way down through your right. You know, that is.
So you focus the energy, bringing it up from your left side down your right. Is that correct?
Like a magnet, which is actually also a pyramid. And you can do any breath work that you feel comfortable with, or listening to any specific frequency and giving the command how you're detaching from all those anchors placed in your human holographic vessel, you know, in relation to the harvesting control systems. And then you detach, 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 and empower. See how each one of your Tauruses is being fully aligned to the cosmic and universal time, because that's super powerful. Like our original power, the level of energy that we are capable to generate, if like this, we go at a cosmic level with our full generators restored, you know, psionics, time travel, regeneration, all is like, you know, inherently done. So it's something that builds up, it's progressive. But the more that we become aware of that, you know, the more helpful that it is. And because even that's related also to the 33, to the number 33. And the Mayan knew it as well, because the 13 in relation to the moon and the 20 that you mentioned in relation to the sun, if you add up 13 plus 20 is the 33. So then you have the two engrams, you know, the two wheels that are coming together, creating actually, well, it's that flow, that toroidal motion, you know. So yeah, there are many ways. For instance, our 13 joints and 20 being our 10 fingers from our hands and our feet, which are our sons, our 4 sons, you know. So then cleansing them and using them to empower. I mean, yours shall be very clean. You have the P90, and you know,
you have the P90. I love it. It's changed my life, you guys. And I'll tell you, it's changed my. Thank you for mentioning that, by the way. If anybody could go to my website, bewell.onlylifeglobal.com. But I will tell you, YssaH, honestly, well, you've tried it. You used it at the Airbnb. Amazing.
Yes.
I have so many people. If you go on my website, I mean, I've only got a few testimonies there because I have to ask Jennifer to add more. I mean, I've got tons of testimonies, but I have a lady that has Raynaud's disease. She's done 3 sessions. Her foot looks brand new.
Wow.
She's blown away. It's helping people. P90, pulse electromagnetic field therapy, and terahertz. And then I was showing YssaH these guys, which I love.
Yes.
And so I'll just show real quick, and then I'm gonna.
Those would be very easy for you, Susan. Those would come very handy to you right now with 2 hours of sleep.
These things, I can see through them. I can totally see through them and watch, and it goes poof, poof, poof.
Awesome.
And it squeezes, and it has heated pads, and when it does the pulsing, it's sending PMF frequencies into your pineal gland. Excuse me. So I just put it on, my nose start running completely. It detox. That's what I think's happening. This cold, I think that this thing is detoxing my brain, honestly, my head. I believe that. Because my body feels fine. It's just my head. And as soon as I put on it, well, that's what PMF does. It detoxes, it reduces inflammation. I mean, there's tons of information. Go on my Facebook page, Soulful Synergy. Soulful Synergy, Detox and Wellness. I'll be doing sessions at the Peter's going to be there for the conference next year, so I'll get a couple days. He'll work a couple days the floor. That way, I may have, if Brian says okay, I'll have some time to do sessions. It'll be much different next year. It was our first conference last year, right? And I learned a lot of things, and I went through some shadow work behind that. And I'm glad I did, because I've been able to release some things. And thank you, YssaH. You helped me with that, by the way. You and Sean. But are you guys excited for the conference?
Heck yeah.
What do you
Super
think?
excited. Super excited. Yes.
No, I am too. Are you, Susan?
Yeah, I will be.
Okay.
I'm just really
All right.
tired
Well,
today.
I guess this is a good place to end, lady. So we're gonna come back together, all four of us, in February. Yeah. Are we in agreement to that?
Yes,
I'll send some dates out, and you guys can let me know. And I think Sunday works. Does Sunday work for you guys at 1 o'clock?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Sunday at 1 o'clock. Okay, so I'll find a Sunday in February at 1 o'clock. Okay. That's going to work for everybody, the dates, and then we can figure it out and agree. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Please do subscribe to Cosmic Rue. Share it out. Invite people. Go visit YssaH, Erika, and Susan. All their contact information is in the description box. All their websites. Yes, absolutely. Go and subscribe to Cosmic Mama. Erika's got a great show of her own. So does YssaH. Susan just comes and hangs out when she feels like it. Those amazing products, guys. She sent me some. But I have got several of her products that are all amazing, and she was super supportive to me when my car got totaled on Friday the 13th in September. She sent me some things to help me getting through that and the pain. Really so I'm very grateful and thankful to her. And she does amazing sessions. She'll be at the conference doing sessions again.
Do you do cranial sacral?
Yeah, I do sacral cranial sacral. That's the approach, and it starts out with cranial sacral. Then you have myofascial release and John Barnes unwinding, and it looks pretty wild. Like when people are really open, they'll be doing this, and it kind of looks like you're exercising demons, because it's like using remember the slimline phones that had the really long cords and we'd have to hang them upside down so they'd unwind? Yeah. Well, it's what your body does when I do that. It unwinds a trauma. It's pretty cool. And then you'll feel pretty stoned, and hopefully you don't see any sex trauma when you go there, because it can unwind stuff you don't even remember, and you'll see it. So
I let Prince in.
I was going to say that's Prince coming in the room.
Come here.
Prince is in the house.
Gosh. Oh my God. Hi, everybody. Hi. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. I'm so in love with you. Best boy ever.
Gorgeous.
Does he have a stroller?
Huh?
Does he have a stroller?
Do I have a stroller? No, I don't know. Maybe
I wanted to have a cat stroller. Yeah, I wanted to put my cat in a stroller.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to bring him to the conference next year, because I thought it was going to work out well last year, but I don't think so. He's going to go, come say hi. You just want to say hi to everybody, Prince. Look at all the ladies. Look, buddy.
Hi, Prince.
Who's down there? Okay, fine. All right. Anyways, well, you ladies, I want you to know that I appreciate you. I see you. I value you. I love you. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
I love you. Yeah. I love you. Happy new beginning of 2025 to everyone. Infinite bliss. And may it be a year full of expansive evolution, immersing joy, harmony, love, and whatever you choose to be. Thank you. Thank you.
That was lovely. Thank you, YssaH.
Thank you. Thank you.
I second that. Yes.
I love you.
Self-empowerment. Yes.
1 hour and 44. So that's a good number.
Yes. That's an excellent number. So we're going to end it. Guys, please reach out to these ladies. They've got so much good information on their own shows, different guests, so forth. And we'll see you in February. We're going to come back and we'll have an exciting, if you have any recommendations on any topics that you'd like us to cover, leave it in the chat and I'll have a look later. Thank you, YssaH, Susan, and Erika. I love you, beautiful
Thank
ladies.
you.
Thank you so much.
Love
Okay.
you. Love you all.
All right. All right. Bye-bye. Uh-oh.
Thank you.